Most people move through their lives quietly, unnoticed, blending into the constant hum of everyday existence. They follow the familiar rhythms, absorb the patterns, and rarely pause to ask why their lives feel so ordinary. They're not doing anything wrong. They're simply moving with the current. But once in a while, someone appears who is profoundly different. You can't always explain why, but you can feel it before they even speak. There's an energy that clings to them, an aura that makes them impossible to ignore. It's not charm. It's not the kind of confidence that can be taught or copied. It is something far deeper, something that reaches into the unspoken parts of the human soul. Carl Jung believed that this presence is not an accident. It is not luck, nor is it a mere personality trait. It is the mark of someone who has ventured into the hidden corridors of their own psyche, someone who has dared to confront the shadows most people avoid at all costs. And when a person emerges from such an encounter, they radiate differently. Their aura doesn't just step into a room, it reshapes it. People sense the shift even when they can't name it. If you carry this rare aura, chances are you've known it your entire life. There's always been that silent difference, that quiet intensity that makes you feel set apart, even when you tried your best to blend in. But being different in this way comes with a price. Standing out, especially without trying, unsettles the world in ways you never asked for. Some people notice you with admiration, drawn to something they can't quite put their finger on. But others notice with unease, as if your presence alone reveals something in them they would rather keep hidden. Having a rare aura means that blending in was never truly an option for you. No matter how much you might have wanted to disappear into the background, you couldn't. People picked up on your presence, sometimes without even realizing why. Some were instinctively drawn closer, pulled by the grounding calm or the mystery of your energy. Others, though, felt something altogether different, something that made them step back. They weren't threatened because of anything you said or did, but because your very existence stirred up the parts of themselves they didn't want to face. Their insecurity, their superficiality, their masks. Jung believed this reaction is projection. People project onto you what they cannot accept in themselves. Your energy, without you trying, forces them to confront truths they have avoided. And while this can inspire admiration and respect, it can also spark resentment or even hostility, leaving you puzzled at how people can love and hate you for reasons they themselves don't fully understand. That is the first truth of carrying a rare aura. You cannot control how others respond. All you can do is learn to protect yourself from the storms your presence unintentionally awakens. The first sign of this rare aura is your natural stillness. You do not chase attention. You do not fight to be noticed. Yet people notice you anyway. There's a calmness in the way you move, a grounded weight in your presence, a depth in your listening that makes others feel both comforted and exposed at the same time. It's not about being quiet, nor about being passive. It's about being anchored. Your energy doesn't scatter. It holds. Like gravity, it draws people closer, not with noise, but with presence. Carl Jung described this as individuation, the process of becoming whole, the journey of facing your shadows, integrating your wounds, and stepping into life no longer needing validation from others. When you have walked that path, you radiate differently. You no longer need to prove anything, and people sense it instantly. There is a strange power in absence of performance. Those who wear masks feel unnerved in your presence, while those who are searching for truth and authenticity feel comforted. But as with all things rare, there is a cost. With your stillness comes isolation, because so few people truly understand what it takes to carry that kind of energy. The second sign of this rare aura is what happens when people are around you. They begin to reveal themselves, often without meaning to. Strangers open up. Friends confess things they've never spoken aloud. Sometimes people tell you their secrets within minutes of meeting you, and even they are surprised at how much they've shared. You didn't ask. You didn't push. But your presence feels disarmingly safe, and at the same time, unnervingly honest. Something about you strips away rehearsed personas, and allows people to reveal the raw truth underneath. But here lies the paradox. That same openness that allows someone to feel relief in the moment can later make them uncomfortable. Once the vulnerability passes, they may feel embarrassed, even exposed. Not angry at you, but at themselves. They may regret saying so much, wishing they could pull their words back. Jung believed this happens because certain energies act as mirrors. Your presence reflects the hidden self back at people. And while it can be healing for those ready to face themselves, it can be confronting, even unbearable, for those who are not. This is why people can feel both comfort and discomfort with you, often in the same breath. Your aura does not allow people to hide, not from you and not from themselves. The third sign of your rare aura is your ability to sense the energy in a room before anyone has spoken. You notice the subtle shifts others miss. The tension in the air before an argument. The falseness behind a smile. The heaviness behind someone's eyes. It is not magic. It is not a trick. It is awareness. An attunement born from inner work and careful observation. Where others are distracted by noise, you pick up on nuance. You hear the pauses in conversation. You feel the currents beneath words. And you sense what is unspoken. Jung taught that when a person integrates their unconscious, they develop intuition for the unconscious of others. In facing your own shadows, you've learned their shapes, and now you recognize them in others even when they are hidden. But this, too, can feel less like a gift and more like a burden. Once you notice the undercurrents, you cannot unsee them. You cannot play along with the masks, cannot convince yourself that the performance is real. Shallow conversations become exhausting. You long for depth, for honesty, because surface-level living feels like static noise to you. And this leads to the fourth sign of a rare aura, how easily your presence unsettles people who live behind masks. You don't have to challenge them. You don't have to say a single word. Just by existing authentically, you highlight what is artificial in them. Some will admire you for this. They will find your authenticity inspiring. But others will feel threatened, as though your mere presence threatens the illusion they've worked so hard to maintain. They may avoid you. They may gossip about you. They may even attempt to diminish you. Not because you've harmed them, but because your authenticity makes their pretenses harder to sustain. Carl Jung warned that society resists those who embody their wholeness. The world thrives on conformity, on predictable patterns. On people stay within categories that can be understood and controlled. But a person with a rare aura disrupts this balance. You don't fit the categories. You can't be neatly labeled. You can't be easily manipulated or controlled. And so you naturally become a challenge to the status quo. The fifth sign of a rare aura is that isolation becomes both your burden and your sanctuary. If you have walked the path of individuation, if you have faced yourself deeply, then you know this feeling well. The deeper you grow, the fewer people resonate with you. It's not that you dislike others. It's not that you're incapable of socializing. It's that the surface-level conversations, the small talk, the constant noise of shallow interaction feels draining, like breathing thin air that never quite fills your lungs. You've likely noticed that in crowds, instead of feeling alive, you often feel more alone, surrounded by voices, but still solitary inside. At first, this experience feels like punishment. You wonder if something is broken within you, if you are too different to belong anywhere. But over time, solitude shifts. It stops feeling like exile and begins to feel like refinement. Alone with yourself, your thoughts sharpen, your intuition strengthens, your energy resets. Carl Jung believed that individuation often requires periods of withdrawal, not to reject the world, but to purify yourself so you can return to it stronger. This solitude is like the dark soil where roots grow unseen, feeding a tree that will one day bear fruit. It is not wasted time. It is a foundation of your presence. Yet people around you rarely understand this. They may label you as distant, antisocial, or aloof. They can't see the quiet work happening in your solitude. They don't realize that it is in the stillness where you renew your strength. And so, what feels isolating at first eventually becomes sacred. Your aura is not drained here. It is replenished. The final sign of a rare aura is perhaps the most important. It is not about how others see you. It is about how you begin to see yourself. For much of your life, you may have asked, why am I different? Why don't I fit in? Why do I feel this way? But over time, the questions shift. You stop asking, why am I different? And begin to realize, I am different because this is my design. You were not made to blend in. You were not meant to dissolve into the background. Your energy is not here to mimic the noise. It is here to awaken, to reflect, to disrupt what is false and amplify what is real. Jung believed that those who embody their wholeness become living catalysts, not because they seek to change the world, but because their very existence challenges others to face themselves. Your power is not in persuasion, not in argument, not even in action. It is in your presence. Simply by being, you stir the waters around you. You awaken something in people that words alone never could. But with this power comes responsibility. If your aura is rare, then you must learn to guard it. Not everyone is worthy of your closeness. Not everyone can hold your presence without trying to consume it. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is necessary. Your aura was forged in shadow, solitude, and self-discovery. It carries the weight of the inner work you've done. To dilute it just to fit in, to shrink it so others feel comfortable, is to betray the very journey that shaped you. And so, the challenge becomes standing fully in it. Not softening your edges to appease the world. Not dimming your light because others feel blinded by it. But embracing the fact that your very being is already the work. You are not here to be ordinary. You are here to be whole. This wholeness creates a paradox in your life. You crave depth, but depth is rare. You seek authenticity, but authenticity makes many people uncomfortable. You long for connection, but the truth is very few can meet you at the level you exist. And so your journey becomes one of discernment, learning who is drawn to your energy out of genuine resonance, and who is drawn because they want to take from it. Recognizing the difference between those who are inspired by your presence and those who feel threatened by it. This is not always easy. It requires patience. It requires clarity. And it requires the strength to say no. To walk away from what drains you, no matter how much the world insists you should stay. Protecting your aura means refusing to scatter yourself in places that cannot hold you. It means giving your energy only where it is valued and understood. People will always project onto you. Some will see you as a guide, others as a threat. Some will call you wise, others will call you arrogant. Some will be drawn to you, and others will try to push you down. This is the unavoidable truth of being different. But none of these projections define you. They are reflections of others, not of you. Jung warned that people resist facing themselves, and when they cannot bear their own reflection, they often turn on the one who mirrors it. Your task is not to absorb these projections. Your task is to remember who you are beneath them, to stand grounded in your truth, unmoved by the shifting perceptions of others. This is not arrogance. It is integrity. It is a refusal to become a distorted version of yourself simply because others cannot accept what they see. In this way, your aura becomes both a gift and a test. A gift because it awakens the world around you. A test because it requires you to hold your ground even when misunderstood. Not everyone will see the truth of who you are, and that is not your burden to carry. Your only burden is to remain true to the work you've done within yourself. Imagine a flame. Some will gather near for warmth. Others will recoil from its brightness. The flame does not adjust itself. It does not dim to comfort the eyes of those who fear its light. It simply burns because that is its nature. And so it is with you. Your aura is not here to please. It is here to exist fully as it is. This doesn't mean you walk the world in isolation forever. On the contrary, those who carry rare auras often find, over time, a select few souls who recognize them deeply, not out of projection, not out of need, but out of resonance. These connections are rare but profound. They are not built on performance or pretense, but on truth. And when you find them, you will know. They will not be threatened by your depth. They will not feel the need to diminish your presence. They will meet you in it, and together, the connection becomes a sanctuary. Until then, you learn to be at peace with the solitude, to trust that being alone is not a flaw, but part of the path. In solitude, you become whole. In wholeness, you radiate. And in radiance, you inevitably attract those who are ready to meet you. Not everyone is ready, but the right ones will be. Your journey, then, is not about forcing the world to understand you. It is not about proving your worth to those who cannot see it. It is about living authentically, regardless of how the world responds. It is about carrying your aura with dignity, not apology. It is about standing in your truth, even when it makes others uncomfortable. Because ultimately, Your aura is not for them. It is the expression of the life you have lived, the shadows you have faced, the healing you have embraced, and the self you have become. It is rare precisely because few are willing to walk the path that creates it. And if you carry it, then you are proof that such a path is possible. So when you feel the weight of isolation, remember, it is not punishment. It is preparation. When you feel misunderstood, remember, it is not rejection. It is refinement. And when you wonder why you are different, remember, you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to be whole. There comes a moment in this journey when everything begins to settle into clarity. You no longer feel the constant need to ask why you are different, why others misunderstand you, or why the world reacts so strongly to your presence. Instead, you begin to understand that the very things that once felt like burdens are the very things that make you powerful. You stop treating your aura as something strange or inconvenient, and you begin to recognize it as a rare inheritance. Not inherited from bloodline or culture, but from your own inner work, your own willingness to face the shadows most people deny. This recognition doesn't happen overnight. It takes years of confusion, isolation, and trial before you see it clearly. But once you do, the weight shifts. You stop apologizing for the space you take up. You stop trying to soften your presence to make others feel safe. You realize that your aura is not meant to be diluted, because it was never meant to fit comfortably into a world built on pretense. Carl Jung often spoke about individuation as a lifelong process, a journey of becoming whole. It is not about perfection. It is not about reaching some flawless state. It is about integration, about pulling together the fragment of the self, both light and dark, into something authentic and unified. When you embody this, your aura becomes rare because it carries a weight, a fullness, a completeness that most people have not yet touched within themselves. And so, when others stand near you, they feel it. They may not be able to describe it, but they sense the wholeness. For some, it feels like safety. For others, it feels like threat. But the truth is, it is neither. It is simply presence, undeniable, unwavering, and whole. If you carry this aura, you know that your journey is not about chasing validation. It is about alignment. You do not need the world to see you a certain way, because you see yourself clearly. You no longer seek to belong in every room, because you know that belonging everywhere is not possible for someone who carries what you carry. Instead, you learn to belong to yourself. This belonging is what frees you. For when you are rooted in yourself, the shifting winds of other people's opinions no longer move you. One person may call you inspiring, another may call you intimidating. One may see you as wise, another as strange. But you no longer bend to these perceptions. You no longer try to convince them otherwise. You know who you are, and that knowledge is enough. But make no mistake, this is not an easy path. Carrying a rare aura means carrying contradictions. You will be both admired and rejected. You will be both sought out and avoided. You will be both envied and dismissed. You will be both celebrated and misunderstood. And often, these reactions will happen at the same time from the same people. This is the paradox of presence. It awakens what others want to see, but it also awakens what they fear. And yet, despite the complexity, your role is not to manage how others respond. Your role is to embody yourself fully. Because the truth is, your aura was never meant to blend with the ordinary. It was meant to disrupt the false. It was meant to remind the world of what is real. Think of how rare it is to meet someone who is truly whole. Someone who is not pretending. Someone who has faced their pain, accepted their flaws, and still stands tall. When you meet such a person, you cannot help but feel something stir in you. Sometimes it feels like inspiration. Sometimes it feels like discomfort. But either way, it changes you. That is what your aura does to others. Without words, without intention, it stirs. It shakes. It awakens. This is why Jung called such individuals catalysts. They do not try to force change. They do not impose themselves. Their very existence is the catalyst. They simply live authentically, and in doing so, they trigger transformation in the people and environments around them. Some resist it. Some embrace it. But none can ignore it. This, however, is why protecting your energy is so important. Because when you carry a rare aura, people are drawn to you for different reasons. Not all of them pure. Some are drawn because they resonate, because they are ready to step into their own authenticity. But others are drawn because they want to feed off your groundedness, to use your presence as a substitute for their own inner work. And if you are not careful, this can drain you. So you learn boundaries. You learn to say no without guilt. You learn that not every cry for help must be answered by you. You learn that not every person who admires you is meant to be close. Protecting your energy means refusing to scatter yourself. It means reserving your presence for spaces that honor it. This is not cruelty. It is wisdom. For if you allow yourself to be drained, you'll have nothing left to give to those who truly matter. At some point in this journey, you realize something profound. Your aura is not just rare because of the way others perceive it. It is rare because of the way you come to hold it. Many people may begin the path of self-discovery, but few continue all the way through the darkness. Few are willing to confront the full depth of their shadows. Few are willing to walk alone when the path demands solitude. Few are willing to let go of the masks completely. But you have. That is why your presence feels different. It carries the weight of what you have endured, the quiet power of what you have integrated. And because of this, your life cannot be lived like everyone else's. The ordinary scripts do not apply to you. You cannot numb yourself with distractions and call it happiness. You cannot force yourself into shallow living and call it connection. Your aura rejects falseness. It demands depth. It demands truth. And so your path will always feel different from the paths around you. This is not a curse. It is a calling. A rare aura does not mean a life of isolation forever. It means a life of purpose. It means a life of impact. Even when you do not try, your presence influences others. Even when you remain silent, your energy speaks. Even when you feel unseen, you are shaping the room simply by being in it. That is the weight and the gift of what you carry. But the greatest lesson of all is this. Do not shrink it. Do not water it down. Do not bend yourself into shapes that make others more comfortable. Your aura was not given to you so you could hide it. It was forged through your pain, your solitude, your healing. It was shaped by the shadows you confronted, by the fears you faced, by the authenticity you claimed. To shrink it now is to dishonor all of that. So stand in it fully, even when it unsettles others, even when it draws criticism, even when it makes you feel alone. Stand in it, because it is who you are. Your very being is already the work. Your existence is already the offering. You don't need to perform. You don't need to persuade. You don't need to prove. You only need to be. And in being, you will do what you were always meant to do. Awaken what is real, expose what is false, and remind the world, without ever speaking, that wholeness is possible. Few will understand you. Even fewer will walk with you. But those who do will find in you a mirror that shows them not who you are, but who they could be if they dare to walk their own path. That is the mark of a rare aura. That is the gift you carry. That is the truth you must never forget.